host, Nick Toka. Bitcoin going a bit sideways today, down to 84,500, down 1.5%. But the market overall is pretty resilient. Everything's down a little bit, about 1%. We shall see what happens tomorrow. I am noting that the Nikkei is already open and already in the green for the day. So I'm expecting Bitcoin and the rest of the markets to follow. On today's show, we see Michael Saylor teases a new Bitcoin purchase after Strategy's 7.69 billion quarter one buying spree. Also, Trader sees Bitcoin repeating November 2024 breakout and hints at massive bullish reversal for Bitcoin. I agree with him. Also, Bitcoin breaks out. Chart pattern targets 96 to 102,000 as the next big test zone. All this and so much more on today's show. Welcome, folks, to CryptoNews Global. I'm your host, Nick Toka, and Bitcoin, as mentioned, down a bit today, but things are still looking pretty good because it's a big week coming. The U.S. has announced that they're going to be reducing tariffs on certain industries, including electronics and autos, so this, I expect, is going to push Bitcoin quite a bit forward for tomorrow. Let's get right into some Bitcoin technical analysis. We've got the BITI down 1.35% as we speak, 84,200. Ethereum down 0.5%, 1614. Solana down 0.75%, 130 bucks. XRP down 0.75%, $2.13. Cardano down 2.5%, 63 cents. Doge down 1%, 16 cents. Taking a look at the crypto bubbles for the day, we've got about a 70-30 split. Most things, as mentioned, are down, with the exception of Ohm, who's down 85%. Mantra just getting demolished for the day. Everything else is down, about the usual 5-10%. Trump down 4.5%. Fetch down 4.5%, Move down 8%, Flare down 10%. Zooming out to the weekly, big bright green everywhere, folks. Fartcoin 78%, XCN, Oxycoin, I believe it's called, up 125%. Jasmy up 70%, Hype 45%. Going out to the monthly, we're seeing a lot more green now than we did for quite some time. So I would call this about a 60-40 split, red over green, with Fartcoin being the big winner, 180% up. Oxycoin up 45%. Some big losers too. Trump coin down 32%. TIA 30%. Injective surprisingly down 20%. Taking a look at the total hash rate. So as the saying goes, the price follows the hash. So we see that the Bitcoin total hash rate, this is basically the mining strength. So the higher this is, the more secure the network's going to be, and more coins technically can be mined, right? The total hash rate. And right now, as we see, for the most part, the black is the Bitcoin, the blue is the hash rate. For the most part, BITI does follow the price, but we do see there's quite a divergence here in the past little while. This is almost like immediately when this, if we zoom in a bit and go to, we'll call it a 3-month chart, right at mid-February to early March, right when all these tariffs started getting announced. Look what really happens. The hash rate continues to go up. The Bitcoin price goes down. So there's kind of this separation between the two, and we can, zoom as much as we want, but ultimately we're going to see the same thing. But historically, the price follows the hash rate. Checking out the M2 money supply, another thing that Bitcoin follows very closely. We have in the pink the M2 money supply, in the white the Bitcoin price, and you can see how closely these two follow each other. And this is from the 2024 all-time kind of chart. We can see very, very closely the Bitcoin price follows this to the T, and generally Bitcoin is above this. And we're seeing right now, I do expect that this money supply is going to take a big jump over the next little while. All the countries are going to start printing money. We know this. This is a fact. Europe, China, US, the money printer is going to start zooming up, and as it does, so will the price of the bitty. The blue is the year-on-year growth we see in the 2020s. Look at this Biden era bullcrap. Look at the. It's almost like exactly when he took office. Bang, biggest frickin' money printing, you'll ever see, with the exception, of course, of this term's money printing. Now they have to print a lot of money in the States to afford all these endeavors they have of bringing manufacturing back home to the States. In China, they've got a big issue with their economy, their interest rates. Their housing market has crashed. Their interest rates are currently at 1%. Nowhere else to go. They can't lower them anymore. So what's going to happen? They've got to print more money. Europe's already announced they're going to be printing 1 trillion more euros. So soon enough, this pink line here is going to blast off to the moon, and the Bitcoin price should technically follow. Getting into the Bitcoin market cap, we have Bitcoin currently at $1.67 trillion, Ethereum 195 billion, XRP 124 billion, Solana 67 billion, Doge 24.5 billion, Tron 24.3 billion, Cardano $22.5 billion. The total crypto market cap currently sits at $2.63 trillion, with Bitcoin holding 63.5% of that, Ethereum 7.4%, XRP up substantially from yesterday. It was 4.5%, now it's 4.75%. Currently sitting in a 31 in fear in our crypto fear and greed index. Yesterday was a 45 in neutral. Last week was a 23 in fear. There's approximately 1,094 days until the next Bitcoin halving, and 157,680 blocks left until that time. Total top assets by market cap, we've got gold at $21.7 trillion, Apple at $3 trillion, Microsoft $2.9 trillion, Nvidia $2.7, Amazon 1.9, Google 1.9, just below Amazon, silver 1.8 trillion, Bitcoin, there it is, sitting in the number 8 position, $1.676 trillion, Saudi Aramco 1.67 trillion, just 600 million behind Bitcoin, and Meta at 1.3 trillion. You can currently get 1,188 Satoshis for one fiat US dollar. Speaking of the US dollar, the current US national debt sits at 36,721 billion, equaling 107,344 per US citizen, or 323,049 per US taxpayer. Doge has saved the US taxpayer $314 billion since inception, which equals $2,801 per US taxpayer. they're pretty much saving about $50 a day per U.S. taxpayer. So interesting why he's taking all this heat when really he's saving them a shitload of money. So saving us all money, taking the heat, spending all the money. Oh, you must be doing a good job, right? Interesting and crazy how that happens. But it's all what the media feeds everybody, folks. Make no mistake. So, speaking of hype, we have a super hype man and brilliant guy, in my estimation, because he's way ahead of everybody else, and that would be Michael Saylor. And it seems he's going to be making another purchase tomorrow. Saylor teases new Bitcoin buy after Strategy's $7.7 billion quarter one buying spree. Strategy paused Bitcoin buys as Bitcoin tumbled in quarter one, but Saylor signaled additional purchases may be coming. Bitcoin proponent Michael Saylor has hinted the company he co-founded, Strategy, may be set to announce an additional BTC purchase this week, shortly after revealing it expects a net loss in the first quarter of the year over unrealized losses on its massive BTC holding. The company has added 80,785 Bitcoin to its balance sheet since the beginning of the year, after raising a total of $7.7 billion during the first quarter, with over half of that coming from common stock sales. Most, if not all, of those funds were used to buy Bitcoin. On Sunday, Saylor posted a BTC holding tracker to X, a move that typically precedes the purchase announcement, commencing, "There are no tariffs on orange dots." The comment implies the company's BTC purchase were unaffected by the reciprocal tariffs Donald Trump introduced earlier this month and the ensuing U.S.-China trade war. And on Sundays, when he comes out with this BTC holding on tracker on X, on Monday he makes this purchase. No tariffs on orange dots. Michael Saylor posted, the company pauses buying during the week ending April 6th. Its crypto stash is currently worth $44.5 billion and was acquired for $35.5 billion. Strategy currently holds 528,185 Bitcoin, bought at an average price of $67,458. So way up, as we see, way up, making a lot of money for his company. He's up $10 billion, and that's at these relatively low prices for Bitcoin. If you look over, the year, or really the past 6 months, this 85,000 is, chump change compared to where the price can be. So overnight, he literally, if Bitcoin smashes another one of these God candles and goes up, $10,000 in a day, which has happened before, he's way up. So often when Strategy buys, it's for a reason. You kind of see the Bitcoin price pump a lot of times. When he's buying, the Bitcoin price is also pumping. The whales have been buying mad amounts of Bitcoin. That hasn't stopped really since the price has been hitting around between, 82, 83, down to 76, 77. They just keep buying the dip. And according to, if we listened to the show yesterday, I've estimated that there's not a lot of Bitcoin remaining for companies or individuals to buy. So, biddies are starting to come in short supply, and the lower the supply, of course, the higher the price goes. It's basic supply demand. There's never going to be more Bitcoin added after the, 2140 is when the last Bitcoin is going to be mined. But as of 2130, I think it is, 99% of Bitcoin's already been created. So there's not going to be much for the next 100 years, basically. So these are some of the bullish tenets we are seeing. And Trader sees a Bitcoin repeating the November 2024 breakout and hints a massive bullish reversal for Bitcoin incoming. A crypto analyst who nailed The 2021 Bitcoin market meltdown believes that BTC may be in the midst of forming a bullish reversal pattern. Anonymous analyst Dave the Wave tells his 149,000 followers on X that Bitcoin looks to be in the early stages of printing an inverse head and shoulder pattern on the daily chart. An inverse head and shoulder pattern is traditionally viewed as bullish, indicating that the buyers are stepping in without waiting for the price to revisit recent lows. The trader shares a chart suggesting that Bitcoin may repeat its price action during the second half of 2024 when it formed the same bullish reversal pattern before surging to new all-time highs. So here we go here. And this was the previous inverse head and shoulders before hitting these all-time highs, and then this was the traditional head and shoulder pattern where the price started here, price went up, head and shoulder, and price now has been bouncing around. Let's face it, folks, this is a day trader's like dream, right? Up one week, down the next week, up one week, down the next week. If you've got the balls for it, by all means, you can day trade a little bit. For me, I'm more of a hodler. I do have a day trading account, which I'm very active on, and try to increase this incrementally every few days. And, it's been working, right? Always up, never down. Even if it's a couple bucks, I'm happy. That's my goal, is never move down. And if I move down a couple bucks, that's fine, because the next day I'm going to move up $10 or $15, or it's just basically I started with a couple hundred USDT, and I'm trying to take that and turn that into hundreds of thousands, right? It's still in the hundreds, but since I saw all this up and down movement, very systematic up and down movement, I've been trying to take advantage of that. But ultimately, I'm not a day trader, and HODL definitely through all the ups and downs is your best move. This will keep you away from hot water, and in the end, it'll keep you making money, especially in Bitcoin. Anybody who's hodled for more than 4 years has always been making money in Bitcoin. So this is the best strategy. Based on the trader's chart, he seems to predict that Bitcoin will rally close to 90,000 to the form pattern's neckline before dropping below 80,000 to create the right shoulder. The chart also suggests a breakout target of 117,000 for Bitcoin. Looking at the fundamental properties of Bitcoin, Dave the Wave says that Bitcoin's primary use case has gone a long way from being a tool designed to protect people against authoritarian control. The analyst believes that Bitcoin is steadily growing to become a reliable, safe haven asset. Get your thinking right about Bitcoin, and you'll not be disappointed or demoralized. In the early days, it may have been about cyberpunk, etc. It is now an alternate currency in the process of being capitalized and taken a lot more seriously. Market maturity moving toward price discovery. Earlier this month, Dave the Wave doubled down on his prediction that Bitcoin will soar to 200,000 amid an uncertain macroeconomic backdrop. According to the trader, the uncertainty will drive investors to seek refuge in the flagship crypto asset. Yeah, and I agree with that. We definitely see that both for the first time in a very long time, we're seeing both the bond market and the stock market tumble. Like, people are taking their money, they're not comfortable with the stock market or with bonds. Normally, if things get a little sketchy in the stock market, they'll put their money into bonds, and if things are a little less volatile, they'll put their money into stocks and take some risks. Also, when there are low interest rate they will put their money into stocks. When there's high interest rates, they'll put their money into bonds. But currently, with all this tariff one day, no tariff the next day, last week there was a big stock and bond scare where nobody was trusting either, and people are just pulling forget people, countries were pulling their money out of the bonds. And this is speculation as to why Trump actually put a pause on these tariffs. So the bond market's very important. That's basically how the U.S. funds their debt, right? So interesting times. And in that article, we're reading something I strongly believe in, and that people are putting their money into something that can be more stable, i.e. gold, i.e. Bitcoin. So once more liquidity pushes into Bitcoin, we will also see that the money comes out. It's just like when BlackRock started buying up the biddy. The more money that went into it, the higher the price went. So I feel like we're going to start seeing that again very soon. Additionally, we're going to run into this supply shock. Additionally, we already went through the M2 money supply, and the money is going to start printing very soon. So a lot of bullish things happening, not to mention the Bitcoin strategic reserve that everybody was waiting for in the States. So I feel like quietly, nation states around the world, not just U.S., are buying up the Bitcoin, and they're just not saying jack about it, because if they start announcing it, the prices are going to pump up. Once they're filled up on their Bitcoin, then they want the prices to go up, so they'll start announcing. Additionally, once the word gets out that there's no more Bitcoin available, also the price is going to pump up. So I do expect a Bitcoin breakout. Chart pattern targets 96 to 102,000 as the next big test zone. First, we really need to get through this 85,000 zone that we've been stuck in. We need to get above that. We've been going really 85, then back to 78, then up to 85, then down to 82, 83, up to 85, 82, 83. Bad news comes in, down to 77, and then back up to 85, etc., etc. And again, this is what I was saying about if you want to put a small amount of money into this day trading venture, if you're going to go that route, always buy when the price is low and sell when the price is high. If you're going to go for a long-term HODL approach, which is highly recommended both in the traditional financial, stock market and crypto, Bitcoin specifically, then ideally you start averaging in, a couple $100 or whatever you can afford every week or every month, and just keep going on that pace, and then you'll end up getting the biddy or a stock at the lowest possible price because you're averaging over a long period of time. So primary, HODL, dollar cost average, basic economics. Secondary, take a little bit of money, hoping that you make it big on this day trading, or make it big on, take 5%, put it in these little shit coinery coins, and hopefully, if you're lucky, you hit something big. You hit one of these, coins that go up 10,000% or some craziness. You always hear about the, teenager makes $10 million by, buying shitcoin X or whatever the hell it is, right? So I don't discourage that, but I certainly don't encourage you to put your life savings in that. If you're going to put your life savings anywhere, and you're looking to put it in the crypto market, you want to go into Bitcoin. I would stick with the big three, right? Bitcoin, XRP, Solana. So Bitcoin has broken out of a technical formation that may place it on a track toward a decisive test zone between 96,200 and 102,000. If confirmed in the coming days, the movement would represent a major price development in Bitcoin's ongoing market structure. A crypto analyst highlighted this zone as one where Bitcoin's trajectory could either extend to new highs or face its next rejection. Descending broadening wedge breakout clears path to $100,000 again. Bitcoin's price action in the next 24 hours is highlighted by a return to, in the past 24 hours, is highlighted by a return to 85,000 as buying pressure started to creep in. Interestingly, this buying pressure is broken out above the upper trend line of a descending broadening wedge formation. The pattern is typically considered a reversal signal, and its breakout implies strong upward continuation if validated. The breakout of the formation was noted in an analyst post on social media X by crypto analyst Titan of Crypto. Notably, the price chart shared by the analyst shows that the wedge formation has been taking place in the daily candlestick time frame over the past 3 months. The wedge began forming after Bitcoin's peak above 108,000 in late January and gradually widened. At the time of the analysis, Bitcoin's price had already made 2 daily candlestick closes above the upper trend line and of the broadening wedge. According to the analyst, the breakout will most likely be confirmed this week. If confirmed, this will open up the stage for a run above 100,000 price level again, or at least 96,200. Particularly, Titan of Crypto highlighted the region between 96 and 102,000 as the next target zone. The analyst emphasized that this range may act as the actual test of Bitcoin's strength, as it will reveal whether the breakout leads to a continuation or stalls into rejection. So here is their chart. Target zone back here. First, again, as I mentioned, we first need to break out over that 85,000 that we just keep stalling at consistently. And once we do, then that next zone will certainly be in the 92,000. And then we can get to the 100,000. Or, as sometimes happens with the biddy, it just pumps 10 grand overnight. Leverage buildups point to an 8 billion short squeeze potential above 90,000. Don't be shorting Bitcoin at this time, folks. Crypto analyst Sensei also commented on Bitcoin's current price structure. Nothing that a move to 90,000 can trigger a massive liquidation event. Based on the data from CoinGlass, more than 8 billion in short positions would be vulnerable if the price rose around above 90,000 again. The cumulative short liquidation chart from CoinGlass shows a large wall of leveraged short interest concentrated below that level across major exchanges like Binance, OKX, and Bybit. Yeah, again, I don't think it's time for people to be shorting the biddy right now. These seem to be lows that we're hitting right now. And if we jump into our trading view chart, and this is going back right from the beginning, as far as it'll go anyway, back to 2018, we should be able to get it out even further. Let's hit all. All right, that's all it's going to show us right now. I'd have to retweak the chart, but current bid 84.4, current ask 84.4, pretty consistent. All-time high 109,700, and within this time frame, all-time low from 2018. Don't we all wish we got in then? $3,160. I had my chart actually. Let's go back to a 6-month, 1-year view, we'll call it. That's much better. We've been really trading in this area here. Let's get a better view if we have been trading very consistently, as you see. I wouldn't call it a narrow range because it's not a narrow range. It's between 76.5 and 85. Here we've got to 88, but really it's between this 78, 85, 78, 85. And if you want to get even more narrow than that, let's go to right here where it's showing 82 to 85,000. So there's likely going to be a breakout period. As the first analyst was talking about, the inverse head and shoulders that happened here, we see, is almost on the verge of happening yet again here, right? And in terms of timeline, this took from July 2024 until November 2024, so about 5 months. So here, let's go again with the reverse, since we completed our head and shoulders pattern right around here somewhere. March, and now we're in April. So it very well could be dragging out a little bit more before we make this big boost into new all-time high and price discoveries. So for now, we definitely keep holding this 76.5. So personally, anyway, when I see the price hit this 77,000 bucks, for me it's time to buy, and I have been buying the dip multiple times. If we zoom out here, once we kind of get to this 77 level, it's time to buy the dip. Right here, 78, here 76, here 78. So, you know, this doesn't really show it, these candles, but these are weeks go by. Like, you know, we're talking April 5th. Pardon me, this is only a week, but here we have many weeks. We've got a month that goes by where we keep retesting that zone. And then to the 81 level, it's very similar. We've got between March and almost a month. So if you're going to play it on a daily kind of day trading, keep those levels in mind. Again, if you're going to go with a long-term strategy, this is the recommended way to go for sure, because then you would be HODLing through not just the days and the weeks, but you would be holding through the Bitcoin 4-year cycles, halving cycles. And this is a very good recommended move. I mean, all the big asset managers are suggesting that, you know, by 2028, 2029, the price is going to be $1 million, right? So there's a guy that bought Bitcoin when it was super cheap. He bought $300 of Bitcoin and he cashed out for $20 million. This was a story that came out about 6 months ago. So if you've got time, you know, look, if you're 80 years old, I don't know what to tell you, but if you're 20 and or 30 or even 40 and you've got time to wait, or even 50, and you know you've got time to wait 4 or 8 years, this could end up being a very nice little retirement for you. Michael Saylor has gone on the record to say everybody should have at least 0.1 Bitcoin. So he's a very smart guy, and that's excellent advice as far as I'm concerned. So, you know, try to dollar cost average until you get to that 0.1 Bitcoin. If these cycles hold true, then in October, November, when the price hits its cycle peak, the way it has for the past 4 cycles, maybe at that point, it's also time for you to dump it at the cycle high. then wait for the cycle to drop about 1.5 years later, and then buy 0.2 Bitcoin, for example, right? Then you're ready for the next 4-year halving. This is a relatively, should be a stable way to kind of get yourself into Bitcoin. That's been my approach. I definitely am a hodler. Even Trump has come out and said, number one rule in Bitcoin, never sell your Bitcoin, right? So if these whales are saying don't sell your Bitcoin, probably not a good idea to sell your Bitcoin. If you can hold on to it, then by all means hold on to it. Trying to time the markets can sometimes be a little difficult as well. So we don't want anybody losing their shirts out there. Always, try and I try to give my best view of things, but this in no way is financial advice. Do your own research, bring up the charts, check it out. I've got printouts, I've got paper copies, I've written on these things, the lows, the highs, how much Bitcoin's gone, how many times the Bitcoin price has gone up for these cycles. According to my math, the first Bitcoin cycle went up from the halving date until the cycle peak was like 17 times, 17x. Then the next was 8x, the next halving from the date of the halving until the cycle peak. The next one in 2020 was 6x from the date of the halving to the cycle peak. So according to my math, we're talking between a 3x and a 5x this cycle peak. And it seems to be a little less every cycle. So I went conservative with 3x, and the price of the, if we go back to the actual halving date, which was April 2024, and here we have April 2024, right in about here, we'll call it. The price was, let's just average it. I forget the exact, I think it was 420. I remember now. So once we go to April 20th, 21st, somewhere right here, the price was at 65K. So a 3x, it's not a difficult calculation here, times 3x, 195K, and if we went times 6x, 390K. So if we are doing predictions based on historical data, we should expect that the price will go between 190 and 390K this cycle. And then, of course, if you do the same thing for the next cycle in 2028, then you're talking for sure over $1 million. So let's hope that's the direction it goes. We all want the biddy to do well, and furthermore, we all want to get into the Bitcoin before, the BlackRocks buy it up, before the U.S. government buys it all up, before, countries around the world buy it, and then suddenly you want to get into the Bitcoin and the price is going to be too high because there's none left. So ideally, buy a little bit here, buy a little bit there, get your feet wet. You don't have to buy a Bitcoin, you can buy $10 worth. So keep that in mind. Try to keep just dollar averaging in, and things should hopefully go pretty steady over the long term. Over the long term, if you hodl for many years, you can pretty much be guaranteed it's going to go up. There's lots of money in the world out there, folks. There's $900 trillion of assets around the world. So money is abundant. Money is everywhere. It's time that's scarce. So do spend your time wisely and keep on learning. If you start suddenly making more money, start saving more money. Don't spend more money. And start saving and investing when you're young. Investing is not spending money, it's investing, it's saving money for a later date, for a rainy day. If you start in your late teens or early 20s, ideally you can retire when you're 40 or 45, right? If you've got a great idea, even if you're not ready, start with your idea right away. Here at Crypto News Global, folks, I want you to know that you're not only watching and listening to Crypto News Global, you are the fabric of the show. I will continue to come with the world's latest stories and analysis for the biddy and try to make everybody on the show who listens as rich as possible. If you do enjoy the show, please help me on my way to 500 to 1,000 subscribers this week by hitting that subscribe button. It is free to do so. And also share, like, comment, and we will see you on the next stream, folks. Thanks so much for joining.